annual purge will conclude in 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, Ana. ¿Qué tal estás? How are you doing?
Muy bien, thank you, thank you.
First of all, congratulations on the movie. I loved it to bits. First of all, my first question is, what is a nice girl who grew up watching John Hughes comedy movies doing 2 back-to-back butt-kicking movies? How did all this come about?
Yes, I grew up watching those like 80s comedies, which that's what kind of probably my favorite genre. But I also did watch like all the Freddy Krueger movies, you know, like or Poltergeist. Like those were kind of like my movies when I was watching, you know, when I was growing up. So you know, I was also excited to be part of these 2 movies. It's a genre that I do like and that I love, and I never expected that they would come out back to back. It happened because of the pandemic, so kind of like it was a coincidence, but it's pretty cool.
And I mean, thematically speaking, this film has a lot to do with what's been going on just recently, which you kind of even in your worst nightmares, you kind of imagined coming out the other side, this film would be so relevant today, no?
Yes, especially because we shot this movie in 2019, and then a lot of the things that I've shot, I was looking the TV and I was seeing those images in reality, you know, a lot about like immigration and racism and everything. It's always been there, but I think especially the last couple of years, it's been very tough. So yeah, that was very scary to watch and interesting to be part of it. And I always feel like films, they're always ahead of their time, and then it's like, sadly, in this case, you know, those things were happening.
Thank you for your participation.
We survived.
All police and emergency services have been reinstated. All crime, including murder, is now illegal.
Come on, let's get to work.
One of the key themes is very much that in these times of turmoil, it does actually bring people together. Is that something that you felt very present during the pandemic, for example, and these things that have happened as a result of the pandemic?
Yes, definitely. And I think in this movie it's very interesting that 2 worlds that you wouldn't put together, right? The Mexicans and Americans fighting for their lives and becoming a team to survive. It is very interesting to see, and that finally it's more about surviving, and you know, forget about who you are, if you're illegal, if you know, if you're Latino, if we are completely different. At the end, we're all human. So the movie talks a lot about equality and respect for the other person. So yeah, I think that's very relevant about the movie.
This is insane. Nobody hear the sirens?
There's no crime anymore. Anything goes.
You rich can't hide behind your steel walls no more. Powerless. How's that feel? This is the real purge. The forever purge.
Obviously, James DeMonaco he's been the screenwriter for the whole franchise, no? But Everardo came on board because James DeFranco was very adamant that someone who really kind of could bring their own perspective from a Mexican point of view, no, could bring his perspective into the film. So could you tell me a little bit about when you became involved, how much Everardo brought to the table? And then I believe he got down and kind of deep dive with you and the rest of the cast to really kind of touch on the specific topics that you really wanted to shine a light on, no?
Definitely, yes. I think that was very smart from James DeMonaco to be very humbled and say, I needed a Mexican director, like I need someone to bring also more truth to what he wrote. And then Everardo did. Everardo actually, you know, the story was there and it was great, but I think also he kind of like made it and directed it with the Latino perspective more than the American perspective. I think he changed that a little bit, and then that's why he told me he was going to do and he wanted to do with the movie, and then us as actors also brought, you know, what we should bring to the table that is also a point of view. In my case especially was, there was like all these scenes between us, between Latinos speaking in English between us. And I was like, this is kind of weird. Like we would have been talking in Spanish. Yeah. So we came with the idea that, my character, it was already there. Like I'm very ambitious and I work in this factory, and I'm like, but like she should we should have her, like she wanted to really learn English and adapt into this world. And we should have Tenoch being like, oh, I don't really want to learn, and maybe let's just get some money and go back to Mexico and not really be here, like being more hesitant about the situation. So that's why, we come to the idea that even though they speak in English with each other, so they can get better faster and get better jobs and get better opportunities. So all that we really talked about it because we wanted to have a movie which was as real as we could make it,
I mean, your character Adele in the film, she's obviously very, very adamant, and she believes that she has to be as American as possible to live the American dream, no? And at the same time, it's kind of preparing for your character, you really wanted to get into that character as much as possible. I think in terms of weapons and kind of the way this person would be, you really dug as much as you could into kind of using the weapons and everything. No, you really, I mean, I have no idea how to use a weapon, but it looks extremely realistic on screen. Can you tell me a little about how far you went with all of that to get into the character?
Oh no, I have no idea either. Look at me, I'm like the least person. I love like wearing dresses, and I'm super like feminine, and like every time I have to learn it on set, it's new for me. I forget about it. Like I learn it for the job, and then I remember I finished Army of the Dead, and then I started shooting this a week later, and then I already forgot everything about it. I was like, how was this again? Like, it was another weapon, and it was all different because also my character comes from a different background, so I had to learn it again. And then I actually saw some of the stunt people were the same, and then one of the guys who take care of the weapons, they all know each other. So they were like, oh, so John says hi, he's from Army of the Dead. I'm like, oh, you're gonna know that I'm gonna be a nightmare because I'm always like, how did you do this again? Like, but we had a great team. Tenoch is amazing with weapons, with action scenes, because he and Everardo worked before in another movie, which is full of, action and very realistic scenes. So they're really good at it. And I was just like following them and pretending that I was good. But I think they took care of me and with the editing and the stunts, and I obviously did my job and my homework, but yeah, I'm glad that it looks good. I'm glad.
And they definitely put you through your paces, not just in terms of using weapons, but the contraptions and I think I believe Everard is very much a believer of using as many one takes as possible, no?
Yes.
So having no kind of safety harness in terms of acting must have been quite complicated, no? Especially with these huge set pieces, no?
Yeah, we did a lot of like long shots, and there was one that it was like this huge action scene where it's like 10 minutes, and we are like inside of the trailer, and then it's like a 360 thing in the trailer, and then the camera goes down and then catches coming out of the trailer, and then you see the whole town, being purged, like explosions and fire guns and shootings and water and gas, and then we're going through all that, and they were exploding glass to us and throwing things to us, and I was terrified because we had to do it so many times, and you can slip, like if someone does something wrong in the wrong moment, like things can go bad. So I could hear myself, like literally when I was dubbing the movie in Spanish, when I was in camera, I was screaming in real life. I was like, because I knew, there were a lot of screams, right? Because for the extras and for everyone, I knew my scream, wouldn't bother to the microphone. So I was like yelling the whole time. I was scared to death in that sequence. But then the camera would come on me, and I would need to act like I was cool and I was fine with it, but I wasn't. I was just like, please make this stop. I don't want to be here. It was like being in a haunted house. I was like, no, this is too long, guys. Yes.
Brilliant. Well, Anna, listen, we're out of time, so thank you so much for speaking to me. It's been a pleasure. And I wish you the best of success with the film, and I hope to speak to you again sometime soon.
I hope so too. Have a great day.
All right, take care.
English! Speak!
Does this translate?